Good evening. Alan McGee has been described as a rock and roll messiah. He's the man who discovered Oasis. He has the most envied ears in pop. As boss of Creation Records, these days every new band he comes across hopes he'll label them his next big thing. Before we talk, let's hear a track that made Creation Records fame and fortune. This is Oasis's Wonderwall.
You should have somehow realized what you're not to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads that lead you there were winding, and all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. I said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
Well, Alan McGee, this phenomenon is all yours. I mean, this is your creation. It's got a momentum of its own, it just keeps on going. I know they're talented musicians, but you're the guy who picked them out. You're the guy who's done this.
I think it's a bit more than just me. It would be nice to take credit for it, but it would be like a lie. I'm his party. I'm the guy that found them, and I'm the guy that signed them, and I'm still very close to them. But it's a team effort. I mean, they've got great management, and you know, their record company is like, you know, runs like a machine.
So you're telling me you're surprised when you see, and you pick up the newspapers every day, and there's, I mean, not long ago it was Liam and Patsy's wedding, and all of that, and then there are bits about Meg and Noel moving, and it goes on and on and on and on. So you're telling me you're surprised when you read all about this?
I'm not surprised that when I read all about them in the papers, because they've had the third biggest selling album that Britain's ever produced, which is the only two albums ever that have sold more than that is Sgt. Pepper's and Thriller, I think it is. So we've got the third biggest selling album in the history of British music. So it's not surprising that they're tabloid, sort of front cover action really. But we'd sold 10 million records worldwide before the Sun kind of knew our name really, to be honest. And now, I was out with Piers Morgan about 2 or 3 months ago, and he was telling me that, you know, how the tabloids were responsible for Oasis' success. I said, but Piers, we'd sold 10 million records before you started writing about us.
Good for you.
And now that's the popular misconception with the British press, that they think they created the band.
You found them, what, back in 1993?
Yeah, I walked into a club with my young sister, and you know, 2 hours early, and they had build their way onto the stage and done 4 songs.
And this was in Glasgow, wasn't it?
This was in Glasgow, yeah. And I shouldn't even have been at the concert, so it wasn't even as if they would have known I was going to be there, you know. It was by default that I was actually there.
And then what happened?
They'd done their set and they were amazing, and I decided to, you know, go after them. And I went up to them afterwards and went up to Noel Gallagher and said, "Oh, do you want a record deal? I'm Alan McGee." And of course he just went, "Who are you? I've never heard of you," basically. But anyway, we got on and I signed them.
When you said they were amazing, I want to know exactly, from Alan McGee, what you meant when you said they were amazing. What was it, the combination of qualities?
They had great songs, they could play really, really well. They had the most charismatic frontman I'd seen in ages, and they had a great guitar player, and that's really, I mean, I'm a guitar freak really at the end of the day. All the bands I sign are always, you know, like, generally speaking, are guitar bands, because that's what I like, you know, so.
You wanted to be a rock singer yourself, didn't you?
No, I was a bad bass player when I was about 19, but I soon realised by the age of 21 that I wasn't any good, so I cleverly backtracked out of that.
So the charismatic Liam, presumably, I mean, he looks like he looks now. What was he up to then, which was appealing to you?
He was just great stage presence, and he controlled the stage. He was very large, basically, you know.
Because you see, no one else picked them up, did they? I mean, they were free to be signed. They were free to sign to you, so that the other guys didn't think like you thought about them.
No, well, they sort of like, they had a music industry. The whole music industry sort of passed on them, and that was around this a music business convention in September '92, and they were on this bill, and the two brothers had a punch-up on stage, and they were supporting an industry buzz band that everybody was there to see, and Oasis were on before them. So they just saw the Gallagher brothers having one of their tiffs, and so they were written off by the music industry. So by the time I got there 6 months later, of course, and through creation fashion, getting there too late, really. We're a lot of times we're so out of fashion, we're in fashion, you know, and everybody told me I was mad signing a band from Manchester, post the whole Manchester scene in 1991, so that was a good reason to sign them as well.
And one of the tiffs that they were having then, of course, has gone on to be a whole new phenomenon again in British rock. I mean, they have introduced the bad boy element to rock. I don't
think it ever really went away. I think you know, I think the turnaround in British music, you know, I mean, it was about 1985. I mean, what happened was that bands like Duran Duran and Spandau Ballet really, you know, were like an anaesthetic to sort of rock and roll, really. And these people, they were just sort of like, you know, very shallow, bland pop groups. And the first band to come round really and turn it around really was the Mary Chain, but they never sold very many records, but they had a great attitude, and then you could follow that lineage really through to like Happy Mondays and Stone Roses and Primal Scream. They were always like bad boys around, they just never sold as many records. And then Oasis came through, and to be fair, they're better than all these other bands. And the other thing is, it's like, you know, they really wanted to be stars. A lot of these other people, at the end of the day, didn't really want to be stars. But Oasis, you know, had the music that connected with the mass market, and, you know, sold, I think we sold 3.8 million in Britain, you know.
What did that do for Creation in the early days? And once you'd signed them, how long did it take before Creation's profits were reflected in the Oasis success?
Within about a year, you know, I think we went from like -8 million to like, you know, plus a lot.